so today we're gonna talk about fatal flaws.
Every team's got one, except for the
So
Cowboys.
we're doing something. We're gonna be fair here. We're gonna give everybody a chance to make the Super Bowl. Just play along. Just play along. Just play along. We're gonna give every team
in the Super Bowl.
Yup, it's
Okay,
possible.
right.
It's possible.
Right.
So then we're gonna tell you what their fatal flaw is and why they will not make the Super Bowl.
Oh man, this one's going to be interesting. It's going to be a good one to see. Especially where the Colts land. There's like 17 fatal flaws there.
I don't appreciate you just did that. I don't appreciate that at all.
Where do we want to start? Do you have a specific division or a specific team?
You want division by division? I think division by division would be cool.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's start here. How about we do wherever you want. Wherever you want, sir. I'll let you pick.
Okay, well, why don't we start with, well, you even brought up the Colts. Let's start with the AFC South.
All right. You want to start with the Colts first? We can just get that monkey off your back.
No, we're gonna save them for last because they're the best team in that division.
They might be. All right. Why don't we just start with the Texans then?
Okay, that's fine.
Because I think while we're joking that they actually have a chance. To,
they have a chance, man.
Okay, look,
anything's possible.
According to
anything's
Vegas,
possible.
I'm pretty certain that they're expected to win the fewest games in the NFL.
And somehow they
year.
still have a chance.
According to this,
somehow they have a chance.
So their fatal flaws existing in the NFL this year, just in general. But if we have to go, as far as an actual fatal flaw, like their defense, they're not gonna be able to stop anyone. Their defense is just not good. I don't even know who's on it. We got to look it up.
Yeah, so their fatal flaw is they're rebuilding and they're bad like everywhere. Like they have no number one wide receiver. They don't have a quarterback. The offensive line is bad. The defense is bad. They don't have a running back worth talking about. They just got a lot to work on. So that's gonna be their fatal flaw.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I told you this earlier, but as an offensive lineman, I look at offensive lines often. The Houston Texans, sure, they still have Laramie Tunsil, who I think we're past his whole draft, smoking thing. Of course, he was,
Wow, we forgot all about it too. Just brought it back up. Sorry, Larry, I ain't have nothing to do with that. I wasn't even there. All right.
Yeah, no, but they, as far as the rest of it, they weren't, they're not a good offensive line. I don't even, they're running backs. I don't even know who the hell it is right now.
Right.
It's just going to be a rough one for the Texans. Hopefully they win a few games. Maybe they'll beat the Colts twice. That'll be great.
But they sure as hell did it last year. No, that wasn't that. That was Jacksonville that I'm mad about. Listen, we lose to one of them bad teams in our division. I don't know. All right. Well, I ain't gonna spend too much time on them because just a list of reasons why they're not.
Pull it up
right
here.
Right.
Houston Texans, roughly 75% of their roster is just their weak link.
Their weak link is 75% of their roster. All right, Houston, you hang on to that strong 25%, okay? Don't let them tell you anything different. All right, let's go on over to Jacksonville.
All right. So Jacksonville, at least they tried to make an attempt to acquire a ton of individuals this year. But I think what they may have missed the mark is they acquired. I was reading this earlier. They acquired a ton of okay talent and overpaid the hell out of them. So I can't say half these people's name, but the defensive tackle Foley Fatowski or whatever his last name is. They got Evan Ingram, Brandon Scherf, who's supposed to help that offensive line. Don't think it's gonna happen. Zay Jones, wide receiver. Christian Kirk, wide receiver, and then Alukan.
Yeah, they paid Christian Kirk, boy. They paid him like he was. They paid him like he was Jerry Rice, boy. They said,
good for Christian Kirk.
Pick up to Christian Kirk, man.
But is he going to make Trevor Lawrence Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be the new.
Is he going to help Trevor Lawrence out?
Probably not. I don't know at all. I mean,
he's going to be the number one option.
He has to be, right? He has to. Christian Kirk has to play every single play.
Right.
Because then, they drafted Zay Jones. Did they draft him? And then they have Marvin Jones as well, right? Like neither one of these guys are really
Right. So all right. So just to give them one big up, I actually don't. I'm one of those people that I don't like these top flight wide receivers. I think Super Bowl winners are actually correlated with not having like these top 5 wide receivers. It's just you pay them one like that, and that's going to definitely hold you back.
Sure.
But what I have as their fatal flaw is, well, it's the same thing that they had last year, but they got a rookie head coach. It's just that head coach is not Urban Meyer any longer.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you know, we got to see that, and I think that will be what it is. I don't think that he's seen what the NFL has to offer. And I'm still curious about Trevor Lawrence. I thought he would have been more impressive. Now I think there's a lot that went on to him, so I expect him to be better. But I want to see what's up. But my fatal flaw for the Jacksonville Jaguars is they have a rookie head coach.
Yeah, I mean, look,
They filled holes. All I'm saying, they filled holes.
Sure.
I just think
the thing is that, right, they paid the money, but they paid the money for talent, but is it premium talent or premier talent? Not necessarily.
Right.
I don't think so. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, you go back to him, is hopefully he's good. Hopefully he doesn't get injured. I mean, just looking again, offensive line is not good. One of the worst.
So I don't know the structure of the contracts, but if they structured it where all of these players are getting all of that money like in the next like 2 years, then actually that could make a lot more sense because then it'll free it up. But if it's like they're getting paid like in the next like the back end, they do like 7-year or 5-year contracts. If they're paying more in the last 2 years, then I think that's gonna be awful. All right, so moving on, let's go to the Tennessee Titans.
All right, what do you got here? I know this team here, the Tennessee Titans, division winners, choke artist in the playoffs last year, but I think we talked about it last time. I still think they're gonna whoop up on your Colts. So tell me why they're not.
Because they're not.
Okay. End the episode here.
But I think actually, because I like Vrabel a lot as a coach, man. I think he's a really good coach. I mean, Derrick Henry we can't say enough about. But unfortunately, their quarterback is Ryan Tannehill, and I think that's been the reason why they've. I think if like they had a better quarterback, they probably wouldn't have lost to the Chiefs when they went up 21-0, and they could have probably put more points together after that. I just think he's always been more of a limiting factor. I think he's been good, but I also think they don't have a team good enough to compensate for him, and he will be the reason why they've.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that's fair. I also go back to Tannehill reminds me of like Matt Ryan. Like doesn't necessarily. He's probably not going to lose you games, but he's not like premier going to win you football games. Now, with me, I think their fatal flaw now goes back to their wide receiving crew, which is going to kind of, be part of the issue with Ryan Tannehill, right? Like, who's he going to throw the ball? You lose A.J. Brown. So, still Julio Jones, but he's not Julio Jones that we remember.
Julio Jones isn't signed yet.
Oh, so they might not have Julio Jones.
But, I mean, it's not like, that's not Julio Jones like we know it.
But that's where I was going with that. They have Robert Woods. You can only give the Derrick Henry the ball, 72 times, and hopefully he doesn't get hurt, which is what they're going to have to do within that. And then they drafted this kid from Arkansas, right? I always want to just say Arkansas. So Treylon Burks, first round draft pick, looks like he's going to be good, but is he going to replace A.J. Brown? Is he going to be that? Rookies. Rookies are rookies.
Rookies are rookies. They don't get you over any humps.
Very few do eventually.
Eventually.
Or even, I should say.
But what I'm saying is, if you have a ceiling that you need this rookie to get you out of, that ceiling is still there.
And just for the third time, I want to say the offensive line. So, just so you know, last year they ranked.
Timmy likes the offensive line, y'all.
Every time. Titans were just looking at this. 27th in pass blocking last year. 47 sacks, which was the 7th most.
Yeah. Just Ryan. That goes back to my point. Ryan Tannehill is not the guy to compensate for that.
And I mean, that's what they have. These guys are still on the line. Like, I don't know. It's just going to be a lot. You're asking a lot for Ryan Tannehill to,
right.
Go with that wide receiving core and a lot on Derrick Henry. So,
okay.
All right, here it is. Here's the Colts. Let's hear it. The potential.
All right. So,
winners.
Despite of how you think that I'm gonna approach this, I'm gonna go in on my Colts.
Let's hear it. I'll let you have it.
So I have more than one reason why we're going to be held out of the Super Bowl.
Well, because
don't you do it. So number one, the biggest reason for me is I think we have a strong overconfidence in our pass rush. It was definitely a weakness from last year. I think Ngakoue is definitely going to make it better, but I don't think that we solved that problem unless Kwity Paye or Dio step up and make a huge step forward, and that's being hopeful, So we'll see, but I think we have too much faith in our pass rush, and the number two reason why I think we do. I don't think Michael Pittman Jr. is a number one. I think he's a very good number two. Yeah. I think he's an excellent number. I think he's the best. He like TJ Houshmandzadeh number two. You know what I mean? Like you hope to have this number two option. Yeah. But I don't think he's a number one, and I don't think that we even have a number two after him. I just because I don't think that I want a top 5 wide receiver doesn't mean I don't need wide receivers and. So we have Michael Pittman Jr. We have Paris Campbell, who actually I didn't even notice. You told me before we were just talking. He had 10 receptions last year. Paris Campbell and a rookie. That's gonna be interesting.
You got Alex Pierce as well.
Well, he's the rookie. That's the rookie. So we'll see.
Look, you got Matt Ryan throwing to him. I got to circle back though. You said defense, and you don't think it's an overconfidence in that. So you lost your defensive coordinator as well, right?
Yeah, but I'm not really mad about that. But we got Gus Bradley though. Okay. I like Gus Bradley actually. I think he's a better defensive coordinator than Eberflus.
You picked up Gilmore.
Yeah, I think our defense is good. No, I think our defense is good. But in terms, all right. So I was listening to another podcast. Y'all didn't pay me to talk about y'all, so I'm not going to say your name. But the Colts are actually very good in a lot of positions that don't correlate to Super Bowls. So our linebackers are phenomenal. Yep. Our safeties are great. Defensive tackle, great. You know what I mean? So, but you need wide receivers. You need a pass rush. Now, corner is one thing. I think we're actually pretty strong at corner.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I actually, as far as the fatal flaws that I think of, is the same thing, right? I think Matt Ryan is an upgrade.
Sorry, you can keep talking. The guy pouring me some more. Sure. This guy, because this is just greatness.
So I think Matt Ryan is an upgrade from Carson Wentz. Is he going to put him over the hump to get to or win a Super Bowl? I'm not sure. I think we've gone back and forth on this, and I'm going to jab at the Colts all year long. And if they ever start losing, it's going to be just rough for you. But I know the same is going to happen with the Cowboys when they suck again.
Okay.
But look, I think Jonathan Taylor's a stud. He's probably one of the best in the league. But you can't
top 2 at worst.
Yeah, just like Derrick Henry, you can't hand him the ball every single play. So Matt Ryan's capable. We've seen it. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's clearly puts up stats. But to your point, are the wide receivers going to be enough to win them football games when they need to? Matt Ryan, that wide receiver group, and then your defensive line, are they going to be able to
I think Matt Ryan
disrupt the shit out of other
He's definitely an upgrade, but just like I said about Ryan Tannehill, I also think that you need a certain roster for Matt Ryan to so it's kind of the same thing. So all right, let's get out of the AFC South. Let's get to who did you say? AFC West?
Yeah, we'll go to the AFC West. We'll just stay there.
Alrighty. All right, who we getting to first?
Let's just go to the Broncos. I mean, we'll go to.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's interesting.
Let Russ cook.
And you've misquoted me. twice on what I feel about Russell Wilson. So I want you to know I'm not gonna have this slander of my name because I didn't say what it is that you said. I said.
I know. I'm not bringing it up again.
Okay.
All right. Look, I think clearly Russell Wilson coming into the AFC or moving over to the Broncos into the AFC West. I think that they're going to. It's an improvement. The interesting piece here, though, and just kind of going through the research and reading about this and all that fun stuff, I will be interested to see how quickly Russell Wilson and their new head coach, what's his name, Nathaniel Hackett, are able to gel and able to actually start to put together, an offense that they're going to they're going to be good. I tried to look this up earlier, but as far as their wide receiving crew, they have Jerry Jeudy, who might be suspended. We're not too sure, right? So that's cool. You have Courtland Sutton.
Possibly Jerry Jeudy.
Possibly, exactly. So you might not have him for the first couple games.
Right.
You might be suspended. You have Courtland Sutton. You have Tim Patrick. I think all capable, very good wide receivers. I think they'll be fine with Russell Wilson. This is probably one of the offensive lines that I didn't hate on at all, but they're average. They're not like not like the greatest. So
it's not a hole.
It's not a hole. I think it's actually one of the better offensive lines that Russell Wilson play together. But the thing is, when you have an average offensive line, you're average. So it means at some point you're just going to get beat by better than average defensive linemen. And of course, Russell Wilson's capable of running and doing what let Russ cook. But so my thing is, how quickly can that offense gel? As an offensive player, I remember going through camp year after year, getting the shit kicked out of us by defenses just because it was so much more difficult, at least in my mind, to implement offensive playbook and scheme and getting that mesh correct. Now, we'll see. The challenge then is, does that set them back in an AFC West that has the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Chargers? You might not make the playoffs at that point.
Yeah. So all right. So my fatal flaw with them is just like you said. You said game plan. You said the mesh of that offense. And my fatal flaw once again is they got a rookie head coach, bro, who's never done that. And that's gonna sound really boring because like you already said that. It's not the last time I'm gonna say. It's not the last time I'm gonna say it either. But when you don't that's such a pivotal thing. Like to lose a game plan, that means you could have a better team. There's teams that have had a better roster, better teams, better chemistry, and the fact of the matter is the game plan was not strong enough, and that's why they lost. And thus my Colts with Jacksonville Jaguars last year, actually twice.
Again, Nathaniel Hackett he was the OC, offensive coordinator at Green Bay the last couple of years, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. At what point in time did we ever know Jacksonville to be an offensive powerhouse? And at Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers and he had Devontae Adams, and Aaron Jones. There's not many bad offensive coordinators at that point in time. So, and transitioning from OC to head coach is a huge animal. It's a huge it's a different
but when was the last time? The question is, and now eventually I'm going to be wrong about this. I don't know when, but eventually I'm going to be wrong. When was the last time you saw a head coach, his very first year, light the league on fire so much so that he won the Super Bowl or went to the Super Bowl?
I don't think any. I mean,
that's my point. Yeah. Eventually I'll be wrong about that. Yeah. It could be this year, but my fatal flaw for them is.
I gotcha. No,
there it is.
I'm in agreement with you.
There it is.
All right, let's go to the other behemoth in that.
You're going Kansas City.
You have to, right? You got to, right? Big news with Tyreek Hill leaving. But what's your fatal flaw for the Chiefs at this moment?
I don't know if I want to call it a fatal flaw. But I think that their philosophy changed.
Sure.
Their philosophy is hold on. So even when you go back to this is the second change of philosophy that I've seen for them. So when they won the Super Bowl, they had a defensive philosophy. Mm-hmm. So they had offensive philosophy and defense philosophy. When they went back to the Super Bowl and when they lost, they had a different defensive philosophy because the players were different. Yeah. So their defense changed. You know what I mean? They still got Chris Jones, who's a monster. So their defensive philosophy changed. Now their offensive philosophy has to change. So I think that change in philosophy is what I'm looking at and saying. Well, you've been the one when you change one philosophy, you've been trying to figure that back out, and now you're figuring this out. I think that's a lot.
Yeah, look, I do think if there's a coach that can adapt, and I actually wrote this in there, can Andy Reid adapt? He's one of them that can do it. He's done it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He's done it well for a long time. I think offensively, they'll look. I mean, they have Juju Smith-Schuster that they picked up. They got Marquise Valdez-Scantling, and then they drafted that kid Sky Moore, right? So you got Travis Kelce, right? And you got Patrick Mahomes. You still have
and you got Pat, and I call him Pat because
look. So they have one of the better offenses.
You got to earn a nickname. That's Pat.
Offensively, I think they'll adapt. I mean, look, clearly Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent. It's freaking phenomenal. And he could probably still get it done with this core wide receiver group. But I think as far as what you were mentioning before, can their defense stop people? So I think offensively, I think they can adapt. But the defense, they try to address defensive. So looking at their draft, they used 4 of their first 5 draft picks on the defensive side of the ball. They got multiple defensive backs. 3 defensive backs, 4 defensive backs. Holy hell, 4 defensive backs. Why did they pick up 4 defensive backs in the draft? Because last year they gave up 300 plus.
Because they got to figure that out.
Yeah, they gave up 300 plus passing yards in 5 times last season, and now you have Devontae Adams over there and Russell Wilson. I know we talked about just talked about Russell.
Right.
Still, like we're talking.
See
about
that, and that's what I'm saying. So like can we like honestly, Patrick Mahomes had the greatest start to a career like ever. Those first 4 years are like the greatest 4 years ever. But now he's going to understand what Peyton Manning went through, what Aaron Rodgers went through. Look, you know, what Drew Brees went through. Like when you get paid, you lose some stuff. You lose. And how great you are. Like they're a playoff team. They're gonna go, but like. It's on you now, man.
It's so crazy.
Now it's on you.
This AFC West, and you can take all
this is crazy.
4 of those teams.
I said this might be the greatest division of all time.
You did say that. You put those 4 teams in other divisions, and they're competing to win
every one of them would be competing to win their division. Absolutely. All right.
Cool. Let's go out to they're on the Raiders. Let's do the Raiders.
Okay.
Las Vegas. You think they're Las Vegas, man? They're coming up. They got sports teams everywhere now. What do they need over there? Did you just see? I don't know, a little caveat here, but I think LeBron wants to own an NBA team.
LeBron just wants to own everything.
Well, he's a billionaire now. Oh, close if not already. But
LeBron just can't figure out when enough is enough. Enough is enough, LeBron.
All right, Raiders, let's go.
You know what? I'm gonna be biased here, and I'm just gonna say, my limiting factor is what they think is a strength of theirs. Josh McDaniels.
Oh, really?
Now, I'm not. And once again, I can't say the name of that podcast, but one of the former players of the Denver Broncos, when he was the head coach there, said they was cheating. He said they was cheating. He said we was cheating, and like he said we was 8-0, like we couldn't. The game plan was crazy, and then you know what I mean. All of it, and he could pinpoint why. That was DJ Williams, who I'm talking about. I think Josh McDaniels. I think as an offensive coordinator, he's one of the best offensive coordinators of all time. But I gotta see a scheme for him. You know what I mean? I gotta see a scheme. I gotta see how he schemes and what he does when someone has this figured out. I like Derek Carr. I mean, it's hard not to love Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I mean,
but Josh McDaniels. I like people love him.
It's crazy too.
It's different though when it's on you.
And it's gonna be crazy though because you got Derek Carr who, look, I mean he's played out of his mind sometimes, and then he hasn't, right? But for overall, I think most people would want Derek Carr on their team.
Derek Carr, that was a Hall of Fame season last year. People don't. I'm not saying he was like he's like the top 5 quarterback or he's the best quarterback, but not too many people can do what he did last year. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you pick up Devontae Adams. You got Darren Waller, who's a freak, right? You still got Jacobs and Drake in the backfield. Here's my flaw, and I don't even know if like this is pretty obvious. And I know I'm going back here as well. Offensive line, they ain't good. They ain't good. Not
No, they were 26th.
They looking at these ratings, they might be just better than the Chicago Bears offensive line. So they got this kid Colton Miller, right? So playing left tackle, which is great. That's the best place. He might be a top 10 tackle in the NFL. Clearly a stud.
Mm-hmm.
But outside that might be the only good news for them.
Okay.
So Alex Leatherwood, you're gonna have to learn all of these guys' names. He allowed 67 pressures on the quarterback last year.
It's not great.
Most in the NFL.
That's
Don't
not
get
great.
me wrong, is in his rookie
67.
season. 67.
That's like 4 a game.
And that's coming from your right guard.
That's like 4 a game.
Look, I mean, Derek Carr, he's a little athletic, kind of. I mean, he's not going to just, like, fall to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a lot, man. Like, that is just a lot to deal with. So, look, I think the Raiders still are going to be a fine football team. If they can shore up some of this offensive line stuff, I think they'll be, they'll be reasonably competitive.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you're in this division that we're talking about, the AFC West, that you're going to have to steal over half of those games, and I don't know that they do.
The Raiders might be dead fucking last in their division.
No,
that makes no fucking sense.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you can't steal 70% of those games against your division games, you're done. You're done. You're not good. It's going to be bad news bears for you.
Right.
So.
Okay. All right. Cool. Let's go to the Chargers.
Let's do it.
Ooh.
San Diego Chargers.
So I just want to give a little caveat. This was one of the harder ones for me to see. Like the fatal flaw. This was one of the harder. This may have been the hardest one.
Okay.
So but what did you got there?
What do you got there? No, let's hear it. Like I said, mine's not mine is very predictable. What I'm going to say here.
I think I know where you go with this. I don't trust their head coach, Staley. I don't trust him, but I don't know enough about him. I'm still waiting to see what Herbert does. You know what I mean? Like I think he should have been in the playoffs by now.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that the head coach should get on this one. So I'm being a little repetitive here too.
I'm going to be as well.
So are you going to say offensive line?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured this.
And this is so one caveat. When I used to live out there, I had season tickets to the San Diego Chargers. Never went to one of those games, by the way.
You had season tickets and never went?
Yeah,
I
mean,
went.
it was a San Diego Chargers, and
I understand. I understand.
I bought them and never went.
But I would have went.
Look, but I don't think so. Their offensive line, I don't think is they're not even terrible. They're an average offensive line. They just have an awful right tackle. Sorry, and it's so bad to say you're a professional athlete, but as far as professional athletes go, Storm Norton is their right tackle, and my man gave up 60 pressures last year.
Just 7 shy of the record.
Just 7 shy of being the worst, right? Now the rest of the offensive line, so they're like 4/5 of the way there. And they drafted this kid Zion Johnson out of Boston College in their first round. So he is, going to play right guard. Hopefully he'll look. I played right guard. You can't compensate for a bad tackle when I played guard, because these edge rushers, when they beat you on the edge, they just beat you. There's no way a guard can get out there. So a tackle has to be able to do tackle things. But so that's where I went with this, looking at them. I don't think their offensive line is terrible. It's a good enough offensive line. They might be able to patch up and scheme for Storm Norton, who has had just a rough go at it. But outside that, I like Justin Herbert. They just signed their who was that? Williams, right? Is it Williams? Who's their wide receiver that they just signed to a to a big contract.
No, they already had the wide receiver. They signed the defensive end from Chicago.
Well, so I mean, look, as far
I don't
as
know why I can't think of his name.
Yeah,
right
no,
now, but
it's
he's a
terrible.
freaking monster.
It's probably that uncle's nearest. But I mean, look, as far as an offense,
Sure, it had a lot to do with
they
it.
got Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams,
Their
Gerald
wide receiver core is
Everett.
good.
Like, so we're looking at it's really tough. And so as far as you were mentioning, like having a weak link, like they're actually a really complete team. Again, their challenges, they're in that division. That just is, you've got to win these football games. And while they absolutely can, some of this is a coin toss. Like you might win your games at home and lose on the road. You're going to be splitting a lot. So who the hell, you're going to have to beat non-division teams, all of them, so you can actually have the record to make the playoffs.
I agree. Okay, well, AFC West was fun. So I think where we should go from here is the AFC.
Yeah, I was gonna say stay in the AFC.
Yeah, AFC North.
Let's do it. Why don't we just start with the team that went to the Super Bowl last year, the Bengals, right?
The Bengals, no longer the Bungles, the Bengals.
I know, right? So the Bengals, I think it's so interesting. As far as those, like, they went from what was their record the year before?
I have no idea,
4 or 5
but it
wins?
was pretty bad.
It wasn't good, right? Now, don't get me
Pretty
wrong.
bad.
You got Burrow, who blew his knee out. So it wasn't good. He was a rookie. He was actually playing pretty well. Blew his knee out. Loses the season. The Bengals become the Bengals. The Bungles again, right? And then last year, they had a 10-7 record, which is a great turnaround, but it wasn't not to be expected, right? Like you expected Joe Burrow on a good season to actually have a good season. I think their challenge this year is going to be, and I hope I don't steal this from you, just living up to those expectations again. Just flat out, like you keep as a. Was it Dan Marino that went like?
Kind of stole what I was gonna say.
I know we didn't talk about this, man. We didn't even talk about this.
All right, but I can keep going. But go ahead, Dan Marino.
So, well, I was gonna say because didn't he go to a Super Bowl, lose, and never go back?
That's correct.
Like, I really hope that's Joe Burrow is a fun person to watch play football. He's in a line of generational talents that's just going to be good for a long time, and I hope he is, and I hope we see him in more Super Bowls because it'll be cool to see him and. Patrick Mahomes play for AFC championships for years along. But how do you come back from that? I saw a stat the other day that half of the teams that made the playoffs last year will not make the playoffs again.
That's correct.
And that is crazy.
That's crazy, right?
Like
it doesn't even sound correct. Even when you make predictions and stuff, it's like
you just have to know half the teams that made it
all
last year are just
you're
not
like
going to make it again.
like they're just not.
So are the Bengals that? I don't know. I think they still have. Their division's not like the strongest.
Right. But the AFC North is strong though.
Yeah, we don't.
They're gonna beat up on each other.
We don't know what's going to happen with Lamar, and who knows what Deshaun's going to do.
Well, we'll talk about that.
So,
my fatal flaw. I gotta just go on a little tangent. I'm not sure if the Bengals were really supposed to be in the Super Bowl last year. A lot of things swung their way. Like they broke the record for amount of sacks in a playoff game and still won. Like it was 9 sacks. Like that offensive line was god awful. Yeah. Now they definitely addressed it. A lot definitely changed, but I still don't feel like I don't know if they were supposed to be there, and just what you said,
7 times in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like it was 9 times against Tennessee, 7 times in the Super Bowl against the Rams. Yeah. So, I don't know if they can live up to those expectations. I tried to reword it a little differently, but
I got you.
To be a team that was in the Super Bowl, just like you said, they could miss the playoffs, and that's not even shocking.
Well, yeah.
That won't even be
I
shocking.
mean, look, within that division.
I mean, they could win the division, or they could.
I was gonna say, within that division, you probably have to win it to get into the get into the playoffs, and you still have really, really good talent in that.
Yeah.
In the quarterback talent in that division. So they might. I agree with you. I think it's gonna be tough. Offensive line wise, as you said, they're. They weren't great last year. They did address it. Hopefully they're better than average this year. But we said this. I mean, this was when Joe Burrow got hurt, right? Like the man.
Right.
How many hits can you actually take?
And it's great. Even after saying all that, Joe Burrow might be actually underrated.
Yeah, I know.
Now, okay, but moving on. Let's go to Pittsburgh.
Steelers, go for it. Let's hear 'em. Steel Town.
Have you seen their quarterback?
I don't know who he is.
The quarterback is one Mitchell Trubisky.
Oh man. Well,
I don't need to go any further because it's a shame because that defense is great. Mitch Trubisky is their quarterback, and I really don't have much more to say than that.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate too.
That's
right?
why they will not make the Super Bowl.
Look, yeah,
that is why.
What about non-quarterback? Because I think at some point we're gonna get into these conversations with teams that are just clearly their quarterback will never win them a Super Bowl. But as far as the Steelers, right? Like you lose Big Ben, you pick up Trubisky, which is just very.
Who, by the way, probably is better than Big Ben was last year because.
Yeah, I mean they kept him around for probably way too long, so I definitely agree with that, and it's kind of unfortunate. Not that our man Dwayne Haskins would have won the Super Bowl either. Probably still the same conversation, but very unfortunate that of his passing, right? So now there's not even a conversation. There's not even a.
That was a lot.
Yeah, there's not even a what was I gonna say, competition there. So it's like Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett, and then Mason Rudolph ended up third on the depth chart. Like it's going to be tough. I mean, in the end, they still have Najee Harris, which you can't use him all the time. I feel like they dropped the ball down to him.
Yeah, have you seen it? They've been like calling him like fat and stuff.
I haven't seen.
So Najee Harris is like his weight is like at like 244, which is more than Jerome Bettis. And it don't look like it, don't seem like it, but like, yeah, Najee Harris weighs more than Jerome Bettis. And they've been like, so last year was like 242, and now it's like 244. And he just had an interview. I saw that. He was like, yo, I feel like you're trying to call me fat or something. Yeah. But I digress on that. But like, yeah.
No, I completely. I mean, look, you said their defense is incredible. So you got over on your defensive side. I mean, the clear ones. You got Cameron Hayward, T.J. Watt, Devin Bush, Miles Jack. Right?
They just picked up Miles Jack this offseason.
Minka Fitzpatrick. Like you've got like.
First, I'm a fan of Minka.
Yeah, so you got players.
He's a bad.
But as far as like
he's a bad boy.
Of even just the quarterback, you're talking about like the offensive line is buns again. Like they're going back there. I know. So no matter what you do, they're not gonna be able to score points, even if they stop everyone. Right?
Okay.
Even when. I will say this, though. You may or may not remember this. Coach Carmichael came to the EHT Eagles.
He's talking about high school football, by the way.
It's all right.
Yes.
And he said, you can't lose if they don't score. Now, we, as a team, let people score a lot. He
also said tits on the bowl, but that's a whole nother conversation.
So, we let teams score a lot. But the reason why I say that is even if the Steelers' defense is good and they play well and out of their minds, they ain't going to be able to score points. Like, they're just going to have a rough time
Coach
scoring
Carmichael. All right, on that note, we're going to move on past Pittsburgh.
Cut that one.
Yeah. All right, let's go Cleveland.
You're going to have to start. This one I'm not too sure about.
Okay, so
quarterback who hasn't played.
Yeah, so my fatal flaw with Cleveland is Deshaun Watson may not play at all.
I know.
So that's the difference between Cleveland might win that division and let's prepare for maybe a number one overall pick again. So that's basically that. If Deshaun Watson, it's unfortunate. I mean, decisions are decisions, but it's unfortunate what he's going through. But if he's not playing, then that's a wrap for this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a general consensus, right? And he's facing 22 civil suits.
Yeah, I don't ever in my life want to face one, and he has
I look
22 times that amount.
Look, so. I don't know. I mean, my opinion on this doesn't matter. But 22 sexual misconduct suits.
What was he doing? Like, I don't know. One thing I want to know is what did he do?
Dude, this is
one of those
where there's smoke, there's probably a fire type thing, right? Like if one person came out against you,
I mean, things are burning down in
his
forest.
Two might be people making money grabs. 22 people that have come at you. Something happened. I don't know what it is. It's just there's a lot to handle there. So to your point,
I tend to agree with what you said.
To your point. As far as his availability, that is clearly the biggest, flaw there. Now, look, Jacoby Brissett has been a traveling
ex-Colt, by the way.
He's been a serviceable backup, but as you mentioned earlier, right? Like he's not Deshaun Watson.
He's not.
If Jacoby Brissett is starting the first 7 games of that, like. Are they going to be able to put themselves in a position, even if Deshaun Watson comes back, to win a division?
They might be 3-4 in those first 7 games with Jacoby Brissett.
At this point, though, I mean the Colts might lose
all
of
the
their
time.
games. So. No, that wasn't it.
At this point, I mean, the time is it's going.
Excuse me. I said Brissett's been okay as backup. He went 3-8 in his last 11 starts, so never mind. we'll see if he'll be able to do it in Cleveland.
But he was all right. That's fair. That's fair. Let's just move on from it. That's fair.
Cleveland though did pick up my man Amari Cooper.
They did, and so my fatal flaw was actually going to be the wide receivers, but I like him, but But if
no one can throw the ball to him,
I gotta change my fatal flaw now.
No, I'm good.
Okay, so moving to Baltimore.
Lamar might not be signed.
He'll be there. He's gonna play this year, so
he's got to be right. I mean, I'm actually pretty impressed.
That would be hilarious if that didn't happen.
Lamar Jackson, he's his own agent.
No, his mom is his agent.
Is his mom? I thought I last heard he was doing it himself. Maybe
his mom is. You remember the show, The Game, and Malik Wright, where his mom was Tasha Mack and she was his agent. Tasha Mack Management, yeah. So Lamar Jackson has a Tasha Mack for his mom.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Lamar's going to do Lamar things. He'll be back, but the one challenge I've always had with Baltimore, and this is kind of like the blessing and the curse that you have with a running back or a quarterback like Lamar who can run, and I think we're probably going the same way. He just feels the need to do it all.
He's going to have to throw eventually.
He's going to have to eventually throw.
And that tough throw.
And, I mean, look, he's clearly, a great athletic and skilled quarterback, but who's he throwing to this year? Tell me who he's throwing to. I think we're going to the same place with these wide receivers.
That's my fatal flaw.
That's why I was positioned there.
No idea who he's throwing this football to.
I'm going to look this up. Rashad Bateman.
He was a rookie last year.
Devin Duvernay. I don't know how to pronounce these people's names. And James, it looks like Porsche the second. It's probably not Proshi. I have no idea.
Listen, makes that Indianapolis Colts wide receiver core look real good right about now. At least he's got,
Mark Andrews, but he's not exactly the receiving.
Yeah, so, okay, well, we agree on that. That wide receiver core is terrible.
I don't even know who they are. And then on top of that, I mean, he's got serviceable running backs, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, both questionable, which I'm assuming they'll just be, questionable for the entire year. And, But again, I mean, they're running back by committee type setup, which is fine. We've seen that work in the league. There's nothing wrong with that anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, it's going to all come down to Lamar, and it's going to be a lot in, again,
Right.
a division that
Right.
has Joe Burrow, and potentially Deshaun Watson.
Right.
Like,
I think we're there.
Or the Ravens win the division. So who the hell knows?
Or they win the division. Exactly. With no wide receivers.
With no wide
okay.
receivers.
So moving on, we got the AFC East. So
Gotta do the East. Oh yeah. Let's see who we starting with. Should we start with number one? The best of the teams in that division.
Buffalo. We can start with Buffalo.
Yeah.
So this pick was, it was this one or that Kansas City pick, which I thought was my it showed my depth. Because to Kansas City, I said the philosophy change and that do it.
Yeah.
This one was also one of those. So I'll start with this one. So, there's never been a quarterback that has won a Super Bowl that their salary made up 13% of their roster.
That is, where the hell did you find that stat?
That's why I said that's for you guys. That's for you guys.
It's a wild stat.
That's for you guys. And actually, the one who took up the most was actually Tom Brady, and his was like 12 something.
Kind of surprising.
Yeah. So yeah. So with that said, Josh Allen, his salary makes up 16% of that roster, and that is the best, and only because it's not many flaws on that team.
Yeah.
But a quarterback making 16% of the roster is just not going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I'd be willing to bet that right now.
Yeah. So.
It's
a wild stat. I don't know where you got that from.
I'm about to thank you all. Like, listen,
Someone
hold on.
fact-check
Hold on.
this.
Can I just say this? When we have like whatever the podcast Grammys or Oscars are, I would like
a
one for that, because
What
what
was
that was impeccable.
I have a feeling our viewership's going to figure out that stat is a load of shit.
It's not a load of. Oh, I gotta find it now.
But I do agree with you. Look, the Bills having, Josh Allen's a stud, right? Potential MVP. He might win a couple in his career. He's been an absolute stud. They have playmakers across the board on the offensive side. You got Singletary, Diggs. The interesting part about them and where Josh Allen makes up for this, and this is where my go-to. Their offensive line is average-ish. There's nothing they're serviceable. They're nothing stellar. Looking at this here, as far as they don't necessarily need to be, but looking at these stats, they ranked 14th in pass blocking and 27th in run blocking last year. Right? I go back to that a lot because with Josh Allen, he can make up for a lot of that. He can absolutely run his way out of these things. He can make great throws. But at some point, all of that shit catches up to you.
I just want you to know, I just found the article
Did you?
that really supports what I said. I just want you to know. You should have tested me.
But yeah, so I would say that. And then again, I think as far as their defense, I don't know, man. I think they're gonna play great defense. They got Micah Hyde. Why did I not know this? But they have Von Miller.
Yeah, I knew they had Von. That's why I said they don't have many weaknesses.
Why did I forget that they have Von Miller? Like, all right, like Jordan Poirier, they're gonna have, they're gonna be a good team. They're gonna be a good team again.
Can I say this though?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna just paraphrase preference really fast. So the highest cap percentage of a quarterback to actually even make the Super Bowl was Peyton Manning. when he had 18.8% of the league of the team's cap, and we lost to the Saints that year. The top 10 Super Bowl quarterback cap percentages was Peyton Manning, Matt Ryan 15.3%, Peyton Manning again in Denver in 2013. That was the year they lost. Tom Brady at 12.61. Tom Brady again at 12.48. I'm saying all this to basically say, well, what about the quarterback that won the Super Bowl? At 12.61%, Tom Brady's 2021 Super Bowl victory with the Buccaneers was the highest cap to ever win the game, surpassing himself in 2018 when they won when he had 12.42. So, as I said, at 13%, you do not win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, boom. I would drop the mic, but we got a lot of connections here, so I'm not going to do that.
Fact checkers.
I got facts. So, but I will say, on average,
don't believe everything you read on the internet.
So, the median cap percentage for a quarterback to win the Super Bowl is actually 10%. So, that's where it is. Josh Allen has 16% of the cap. I do know that. So we can move on from there. You know, I'm not saying what I need to say. Let's go. Let's go New England.
You got to, right?
I think.
I think New England is. I was just looking at they went 10-7 last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad. With you got Mac Jones over there. They have you got Damian Harris, Devontae Parker, Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, who again serviceable, has been fine.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I end up on the offense a lot. They got a great offensive line, but I think one of their big thing is we just named some wide receivers, and I know you said you're not big on like these huge stud wide receivers, but
yeah, they have
Parker, Myers, and Bourne all can play. They got Nelson Aguilar. Wonder if he's got some stickum. They can play. They'll be serviceable, but will they be difference makers? I don't know. I don't even know if Damian Harris is like a difference maker.
Right.
None of that offensive team just stands out to me where they're going to be. So I don't know. I mean, I think their fatal flaw is potentially just not having like that stud, that standout, and maybe that's I guess I know that's not the Patriots way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But remind me, and I think this is where you're going to go. Who did they just hire as? I think it was their offensive coordinator.
I do not know.
Let me look that up.
Okay. Well, while you're looking that up, I'm gonna give you my fatal flaw. My fatal flaw is that it's bigger, but I'll say this first. My fatal flaw is that Bill Belichick is going to be calling the offensive plays. I think in any system, it happened to Bill Walsh. You know what I mean? Anytime you see a place where you're like, you know what, this was successful. It was hard to stop. The league didn't figure it out, but there's a changing of the guard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Bill Belichick calling plays when his mind is on he's a defensive mind, signals that he doesn't understand that that's not what he does. Mm-hmm. And usually when you want too much power, it's it's going to be a hit that you don't see coming. And I think that Bill Belichick calling plays is the signal that the Patriots dynasty is.
No, so that's where I was going, and that's I think you set it up perfectly. And as I looked this up, this is who I wanted to get to. So if I'm reading this correctly, with McDaniels leaving, right? They actually haven't. It doesn't appear they've actually hired a offensive coordinator, and at the moment, there's going to be two individuals highly involved in the offense. Joe Judge, fired by the New York Giants, and Matt Patricia, fired by the Detroit Lions.
Mm-hmm.
So I almost feel like, look, working under Bill, let's not deny Bill Belichick is clearly, going to be one of the best coaches of all time. He's been in
if not the best.
Like literally, he's been in like every single.
He's been cheating too, but
that's all right. You ain't cheating, you ain't winning. You ain't trying.
I
But
don't know, man. He got caught a lot of times, you know.
that's all right. He's still rolling. But no, I agree with you. I think to your point, I think we're going to the same place, right? Like, how's Mac Jones going to be able to handle this season without a dedicated offensive coordinator? And Bill, I'm sure, has a plan. He's
Can
gonna
I?
figure it out.
So can I use this? So going back to EHT football,
Let's go.
our head coach should not have been calling play calls, and
Should get on our wing T.
that's what I wasn't even gonna say his name because I don't,
say it all.
you know. But had we had somebody else calling plays, we probably would have had far better records and been a lot more successful. But he was calling plays, and that was a problem.
I think I wouldn't say we had the most offensive-minded coach. We also didn't have the most athletic individuals in our offense.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't have the most offensive-minded coach.
That's all right.
Just
No, I understand. But as far as the Patriots, look, I think last year they showed us it's just the Patriot way. They know how to win. They know how to win. For some reason, over in that organization, they know how to win football games. Now, is Mac Jones someone that can win them a Super Bowl? Probably not. They're going to need stellar offensive coaching. It's probably not going to happen. I'm not even sure where their defense ranks right now. I just feel like, again, they're just like solid.
It was good, but they lost so much on that defense.
Yeah, like I don't think they're going to.
J.C. Jackson's not there.
J.C. Jackson's. They replaced him with an older Malcolm Butler, 32 years old.
They did bring Malcolm Butler back. He went back over there. Malcolm, he didn't learn shit from the first time, huh?
So look, you're going to end up. I think they'll be fine, but it is. You still got Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to contend with.
Okay. Yeah. So like I said, the fact that Bill Belichick is calling offensive plays is that. So I will say this. From here on out, fans, we're going to probably speed this up because we're
what, an hour and a half in.
Yeah. So we gotta get through the whole NFC. So if we move on pretty fast,
we might need to do that in a part 2.
You think we need to do that in part 2?
We could. If we finish this one here, we could do part 2. We got 2 teams in the AFC. We can do the NFC as a part 2.
That's fine.
How's that sound?
That's fine.
Because to be fair, I probably want to drink a little bit more of this bourbon. Do a little less talking.
Been smiling a little bit more. Been smiling a little bit more.
We can sit on the balcony.
Yeah, we gotta do a part 2, y'all, because the balcony is and the drinks is where it's at. All right, cool.
All right, so let's go with the Dolphins because we can just really cruise by the Jets later.
You want to start this one? You want me to?
You got it. Go for it.
My problem with the Dolphins is Tua Tagovailoa is their quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't think he's it. I don't think he's it. See, this is the problem. When you draft a quarterback who went to a school that's one of like the top 5 schools. Usually the top quarterbacks went to schools that weren't very good. And what happens is they play these schools that have everything. They play in Alabama. They play in Ohio State. They play, what I mean? They play at Georgia. They play these teams, and they're like, dude, I got to figure all this out.
Yeah.
Because I don't have what's necessary to beat them, and I have to be the reason why we even compete.
Yeah.
So the fact that Tua, like anytime a quarterback, it's always going to be my why I would say no to a quarterback. If they went to Ohio State, they went to Georgia, if they went to Alabama, if they went to one of these schools, I'm like, I don't know, man. That's not what it is, because they had it so good, and now Tua, he's in the NFL, and in the roster he has to pick up some, and he can't. You know why he can't? Because he never had to do it.
Yeah. It's so tough when you make that statement, right? Like, look, Tua came into a national championship at halftime and won a football game, right? Makes you look like a stud, which he's clearly an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
He has the ability to play. I agree with you in the sense that I don't know if he's it yet. He hasn't completely shown it, right? But when you're talking about like these Alabamas, and they've drafted like 72 people from Alabama in like the last 3 years, right? Like you're surrounded by studs at all the time, so it really masks any real deficiency you have. So I agree with you in that sense that yes, is Tua going to be it? Got to go back to their offensive line. Last year they ranked 32nd.
You mean not a 32?
32nd. Last in pass blocking.
That's
now look,
dead.
now don't
fucking last.
Now don't get me wrong. They've worked to make improvements. So they've added. I'm gonna mess this guy's names up. Taron Armstead and Connor Williams.
Oh yeah, Taron Armstead.
Right. So they're adding individuals to improve the offensive line. They still have let's say Lean Etchenberg is what I'm seeing here. He's slated to start right tackle. So we talked about the 67 pressures last year and the 60 pressures. He gave up 62. So right,
just 5 off the record.
Right, so it's gonna be rough. So look, I mean, but they also added some individuals for Tua. So you got Tyreek Hill. So that's gonna give you a presence over there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jalen Waddle's still a stud. I mean, I think he's gonna be good. You got Cedric Wilson, Mike Gesicki. They can play. I think Tua will be. We'll see. We'll see now that he has a little bit more of a crew. They try to improve the offensive line for him. We'll see if he can.
That's the thing. They even got Tyreek Hill. They got Jalen Waddle, another Alabama wide receiver. You know what I mean? Like he's got like this roster. Like if this so if this roster had if this roster had Patrick Mahomes, they'd be in the Super Bowl.
It's a bold statement. No, I don't think unwarranted, but yeah. We'll find out. We'll find out who Tua is.
So that's kind. And I'm going. You see, you were saying you're not sure. I'm going with.
Yeah,
he's not it.
Yeah.
And that's who your quarterback is right now. That's what I'm saying.
I agree. I got you. I'm okay with that. I mean, look, it's a quarterback league anymore, right? It's flat out. It's a quarterback league. That's why
you need at least
they get paid the big
money. At least an above average quarterback.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've seen it happen time and time again, right? Above average quarterbacks and great, not good, but great defenses can get you to the Super Bowl and potentially win.
Yeah, but he's like below average.
We'll find out.
I'm going there.
Okay.
See, you being nice about this. I'm going there. He's below average.
I think he's still young, right? We'll see if he can come into his own.
We'll see.
I don't want to write him off. Can't throw the baby out with the bathwater already. All right, then the Jets. Let's start with the Jets. You are all about the Jets draft, so
Yeah, I love the Jets draft.
Outside of the Jets being the Jets, what do you got? Can't go quarterback because we already,
Why can't I go quarterback?
It's too
Because
easy.
Zach Wilson is their quarterback, man. It's the truth. I'm going their quarterback and head coach situation. I'm not sold on either one. Zach Wilson might also still be below average, and Robert Saleh. I mean,
yeah.
So defensive minded coaches, they're not working right now. They're not really working right now. I actually I would prefer a defensive minded head coach, but I would rather my defensive minded head coach to be with a veteran quarterback, and that is not the situation in New York.
Yeah.
So I feel as though that combination, as much as I like their draft, I like all of that, I think I can see a scenario this year where they're firing their head coach and drafting another quarterback. And that's definitely will keep you out of not winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I was trying to look up their defense. I was like, look, I mean, as bad as, I mean, the Jets are just bad in general, been bad forever. I want to see how their defense stacked up because I feel like they don't have anyone spectacular on offense that we can like look to and be like, oh, this is great. And then even so, you can have the greatest draft in the world. We talked about it. Rookies are rookies. It's just not like look. I'm looking at their so their running backs. Brees Hall. To be fair, I don't even know.
He's not bad though.
I have no
He's not
idea
bad.
how
He's
well
not bad.
Elijah Moore, Corey Davis.
Elijah Moore is very fast.
CJ Uzma.
He was the tight end from
Yeah.
Cincinnati from last year.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at all of these across the board, like I just don't see it happening. I agree with you. I think Zach Wilson's an easy person to lay this on, and I think it's definitely going to be.
Hold on. Actually, a little side note. When the Jets beat the Titans last year, I was bartending that game. Just trying to throw that out there. No, I wasn't there. I was bartending.
Okay.
Listen. I thought about putting turpentine in Zach Wilson's cocktail. Instead, I put vermouth, and I was nice. And you see what happened. The rest is history. You're welcome, Jets fans.
I mean, one of the oh man, we might want to cut that piece out too. But no.
The NFL is going to send us a very nasty letter.
Yeah, I mean, look, they went 4-13 last year. Yep. There's no offense. Defense ain't great.
Yep.
Good draft or not, we'll see. There's not much great to say about them. It's like I feel like doesn't say it here, but do we think they're on the Texans level, where just
I think they're better than the Texans.
their fatal flaw is just them being in the NFL?
I think they're better than the Texans.
I agree. The Texans are bad.
So, like I said, I really liked their draft. So their GM is doing his job. The GM I'm actually liking, but if we're gonna say in 2022 what their fatal flaw is gonna be, I don't like. So they had Rex Ryan previously. They had Rex Ryan and they had Mark Sanchez. I don't think Robert Sala's as good as Rex Ryan as a coach, and Zach Wilson is somewhere around where Mark Sanchez was.
Rex Ryan took them to what, 3 AFC championships in a row? Was that the number?
It wasn't 3. It was like 2.
It was a few.
But one season they beat the Peyton Manning and Tom Brady in the same playoffs.
Yeah,
and they lost to Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship game. So I mean, you know what I mean? Like they were very good, but I just don't think that they had it. But once again, when you talk about a defensive coach with like a quarterback that's not like a veteran established situation, I think you get limited situation. But anytime you get an established quarterback with a defensive coach, I think that's more of a Super Bowl formula.
Sure.
But right now, their defensive coaches are not really working in the NFL.
Well, we'll see. What is it? September, is it 12th? Game 1 of the season?
I believe so.
We'll have to do the NFC next time.
Yes. You got to tune back in.
Talk about
next
how
week.
The Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl. Have 0 fatal flaws.
I have to put the Cowboys into the Super Bowl. All right, guys. I'm going to have to do my homework on this one,
Give
guys.
you a few more days to figure out if you can find a flaw in that entire team.
It'd be hard to find one flaw.
I can't wait to swallow my own tongue after the season starts. It's gonna be awful.
I mean, after you said all that about my Colts, I just want you said a lot. I just want you to know you said a lot. I'm not gonna listen. I didn't like go in on it, but I didn't forget that you said a lot. So that's fine. We'll get to that. But next week, please tune in. We're gonna jump on to the NFC. And we're going to talk about all of their fatal flaws and why they won't make the Super Bowl as well.
They're going to win the Super Bowl.
Why they're not going to win the Super Bowl.
No, they are going to win the Super Bowl. Dallas Cowboys.
They are. They are going to win. Definitely tune in to hear that. If nothing else, tune in to hear why that's going to happen.
Let's do it. Optimism.
All right. Well, once again, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Tariq.
Tim.
Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.